Hi everyone, this is Dr. Chhoda with Ignition Time and welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for being a viewer. Thank you so much for being a subscriber. All I ask, if you learned something new from this video, is please click the like button, please subscribe and please enable notifications. That is your vote of confidence in us and all the effort that goes into this channel behind the scenes. My name is Dr. Chhoda. If you don't know anything about me, please check out my video. You'll learn more about who I am, what my journey has been like and why you should listen to me. In this video, I'll give you the latest status of what's going on in DC as it pertains to the stimulus. Again, some conflicting messages coming out, but there is a definitive picture that is indeed emerging. I'll give you the latest comments from House Speaker Pelosi. I'll give you the latest comments from the White House economic advisor Larry Kudlow, Uncle Kudlow, that we refer to him as, and also important comments from the White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, who was actually interviewed this morning on Fox Business. I did analyze some of his comments in an earlier video, but I think in this video we'll dig a little deeper into some of his comments and what he has been saying. So let's just jump right into what House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said on MSNBC, I quote, "I'm pretty happy. I think we have a prospect for an agreement." It does sound like she's getting really close with U.S. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin. She said, "I'm optimistic. There will be a bill. The question is it in time to pay the November rent, which is my goal, or is it going to be shortly thereafter and retroactive?" Pretty significant comments from House Speaker Pelosi. It seems like we are on the cusp, on the verge of an agreement, and she did suggest the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell may do it after the election. She did say that she and U.S. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin are speaking today at 2:30 p.m. East Coast time. So depending on when you watch this video, that conversation may already have happened, but I will release a video talking to you about the outcome of that. And House Speaker Pelosi said, we obviously want to have a deal by November 3rd. That really is going to be up to whether the president can convince Mitch McConnell to do so. I think Mitch McConnell might not mind doing it after the election. So she's pretty much saying that it's unlikely that we'll have a stimulus deal before the election. Again, House Speaker Pelosi and U.S. Treasury Secretary Mnuchin will speak at 2:30 p.m. East Coast time today. And again, she said, "I'm pretty happy. I think we have prospect for an agreement." She did say a couple of the things that are still outstanding are the amount that we will spend on state and local. So that's what House Speaker Pelosi said. The amount that we will spend on state and local still outstanding. Remember, the Democrats want $436 billion and the Republicans, the administration specifically, has offered $300 billion. And she said one of the challenges we still have is how we treat restaurants and the small venues. That is what House Speaker Pelosi said. Some really interesting comments that tell us that we are on the verge of something, but she did say, "I'm optimistic," because even with what Mitch McConnell says, I'm quoting House Speaker Pelosi, we don't want to do it before the election, which is what Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has said, and I did report that yesterday. She said, but let's keep working so that we can do it after the election. So I think Speaker Pelosi is pretty much admitting, pretty much conceding that we will not see stimulus before the election, and for that she blames the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. And that's where things stand right now. Speaking of where things stand right now, Larry Kudlow was interviewed this morning, and some important comments from Larry Kudlow. He said, and he pretty much said the same thing, even if we get the actual legislative language done, and he did talk about delays and what's going on with the Democrats. He said even if we get the actual legislative language done, it would be difficult to execute every part of this, and he was referring to executing it before the election and where things stand. Let's roll the tape and see exactly what Larry Kudlow says. Let's watch.
Trying to get a sense of why, as Mark Meadows said this morning, the next 48 hours are so critical. Can you explain?
Well, one easy factoid here is we're running out of time, at least between now and the election. So you have these large bills, and this one has gotten bigger and bigger as the negotiations have proceeded. You only got 2 weeks. I guess, is it 2 weeks? Just a day or two longer than 2 weeks before the election. And even if you could get this into legislative language to everybody's satisfaction, it would be difficult operationally to execute every part of this. I know a lot of people are concerned, including the White House, the president, about unemployment assistance and the PPP small loans, and also the direct mail checks. So I don't know, Carl, operationally. But I will say this. I spoke to a number of people early this morning, and it's an optimistic morning regarding the negotiations. That's the best way I would characterize it. Not all mornings are this optimistic. I mean, it's a little cloudy here in Washington, but I think there's an optimistic morning. And some emails from Secretary Mnuchin, who's overseas. He's coming back tonight, but he's going to be negotiating with Speaker Pelosi today. Mark Meadows has said this morning, Chief Meadows, that he's going to be up talking to the Republicans in the Senate. And I can tell you that the committee chairmen in both houses, key committee chairmen, are in discussion now. So that's a fairly optimistic point. You've got Senator Shelby, who's he's the chair of the Senate Appropriations Committee. House member Nita Lowy from New York. They are apparently in discussions. And with respect to the PPP, small business loans, which, as you know, is a very important area for all of us, Marco Rubio and Ben Cardin in the Senate are talking to Steve Chabot and Nydia Velázquez in the House. So I would, as I say, it may not be a sunny morning, but I think it's an optimistic morning.
Right.
Now, in the second segment of the interview, Larry Kudlow specifically asked, hey, what is still under discussion? What's the reason for the holdup? Why haven't we seen stimulus so far? And to that, Larry Kudlow said, key issues are still under discussion, and he emphasized liability protection. He said liability protection for small businesses is very important. Remember that Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell wants liability protection for schools, small businesses, and hospitals and medical facilities. And Larry Kudlow emphasized that gross negligence would not be covered. In fact, he said you'll go to jail if there is gross negligence. So, these are the priorities, as you can see, of the administration. These are the priorities for the Republicans. Let's hear it directly from Larry Kudlow.
Biggest stumbling blocks. Meadows this morning mentioned state and local aid. Yesterday, the term liability protection came up again, something that McConnell said would prevent him from bringing it to the floor. That was back in July. Can you assess those two obstacles?
Well, they remain under discussion. They are important factors here. Not the only ones, but they are very important. I don't want to, Carl, you and I could probably settle this, but I'm just not empowered to negotiate it out with you this morning. But I think they will be under discussion on those key issues. And again, I would underscore Senator McConnell's view, going back to day one last summer when these talks started formally, liability insurance, for small businesses, COVID-related potential lawsuits. They want to put some safeguards or curbs around that, restaurants and so forth. I frankly think if you had some safeguards on liability insurance, some limits. Now, gross negligence is different. Then you're going to jail. But less than that, I think that would help the recovery. I think more businesses would open. And I think that would mean more jobs and a stronger recovery.
And now let's shift gears a little bit and look at the White House Chief of Staff, Mark Meadows, who was interviewed on Fox Business this morning. And in the first segment of the interview, he talked about, House Speaker Pelosi, as far as the administration is concerned, playing political games. But he did say, and this was an interesting and a positive tone from the White House Chief of Staff, Mark Meadows, who said that they are getting close to a deal. He specifically said that both sides have a shared goal of, I quote, some kind of a deal in the next 48 hours or so. So it sounds like they're getting really close. And he said negotiations have entered a new phase. These were the two phrases that really jumped out at me. And he did, talk about the other things that were important from the administration standpoint and what the Democrats were doing and what House Speaker Pelosi's position was. Let's roll the tape and watch what White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows said so we can try and put all the pieces together. Let's roll the tape.
You just heard Nancy Pelosi. Does she really want to get a deal done or not, Mark?
Well, it's interesting. She says that this is all about respecting the science. It's really more about her political agenda, Maria. But I am optimistic. We do share one goal, and that is hopefully to get some kind of deal in the next 48 hours or so. From here, I'll actually leave to go have discussions with some of our Senate colleagues on the Republican side, as well as some of her staff members as it relates to insurance provisions and how to best make sure that those that have lost insurance during this China virus pandemic, that we can actually provide help. The president has been very clear. He wants to make sure that we provide the necessary funds for those Americans that are hurting during this unprecedented time. While there is truly good news on the economic front, part of this stimulus package would actually be to address some of the manufacturing onshoring needs as well. So while we have not seen a lot of movement from Speaker Pelosi, we've seen more movement from the rank and file Democrats in the House. I can tell you that the negotiations have entered a new phase, which is more on the technical side of trying to get the language right if we can agree upon the numbers. We're still apart, still a number of issues to work on, but the last 24 hours have moved the ball down the field.
And in the final segment of the interview, White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows was specifically asked about what the biggest holdup is. Is it the top line number? Is it the dollar amount? Is it state and local aid? Is it liability protection? And he said, and I quote, the biggest issue remains state and local assistance. Clearly, the Democrats want more than what the Republicans can give them. And he said something that actually has not been shared before by the administration. He said, if additional money can be allocated for transportation and onshoring, in other words, bringing jobs back into the United States, a deal can be made. So I thought that was a very significant comment from the White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. Let's roll the tape and watch.
What is getting in the way or standing in the way of a deal? Because the truth is this insurance that you just mentioned. Lindsey Graham said that Nancy Pelosi did not want to agree to liability insurance, whereas somebody goes to a restaurant, they get sick, they want to sue the restaurant. That liability insurance protects that restaurant from that. Has she now agreed that there should be liability insurance? Is that what you just said?
Well, she knows, she's known for 90 days that liability protection would be part of any deal. To have a discussion over the last several months without really her privately acknowledging that those liability protections were going to be part of any deal would just have been disingenuous. No, what I'm talking about there is really on those that have lost their job and lost insurance along with it. How do we best make sure that they have the coverage they need? And how do we actually subsidize that? But that's not the biggest issue that's out there. The biggest issue remains state and local assistance. We show that the actual numbers in terms of revenue loss for state and local governments to be in the $250 to $275 billion range. She's about twice that number, closer to $500 billion. That remains a stumbling block. But for us, it's more about trying to make sure we get some of the policies in place that if we can agree upon a number the policy doesn't stand in the way. So I'll give you a prime example. If we can add additional monies in terms of transportation onshoring, I think there's a deal here to be made.
Okay, so you want to add additional money so that you incentivize companies to bring back their manufacturing lines to America.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what it's all. We've had a dependence on China that is disproportionate to the manufacturing needs here in America. And so if we can do critical supply chains and actually offer financial tax incentives for companies to invest again here in America, we're going to do that.
That's it, everybody. The latest comments from House Speaker Pelosi, from the White House Economic Advisor Larry Kudlow, and from the White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Also, you'll find the links to all our resources in the description section below. So definitely make sure you check them out. Also, please share this video with friends and family. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time. I appreciate you watching. We release videos at 2 p.m. East Coast time most days of the week. That's 2 p.m. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda. If you don't know anything about me, please check out my video. You'll learn more about who I am, what my journey has been like, and why you should listen to me. Remember, once again, we release videos at 2 p.m. East Coast time most days of the week. Get your cell phone out, send a text message with the word ignition or with the word time to 70,000. That's 70000. You'll get added to SMS alerts list. You can also get added to our email list. Simply go to ignitiontime.com/alerts. That's ignitiontime.com/alerts, and then you can opt out of our SMS list or our email list at any point in time that you want. Now remember, sometimes YouTube does not send out notifications on time, so simply bookmark youtube.com/ignitiontime. That's youtube.com/ignitiontime, and then you can bookmark our channel, and then you can visit the homepage of our channel at any point in time that you want, and you're not dependent again on YouTube notifications. You can follow us on Instagram. Our Instagram handle is ignition_time. You can follow us on Twitter as well. Our Twitter handle is the exact same. It's also ignition_time. I would really appreciate it if you follow us on Instagram and Twitter. You can find the links in the description section below to all our resources, all our news resources. Please comment below. Please participate in our growing community. Please also share this video with friends and family. And finally, your vote of confidence in me and all the effort that goes into this channel is you simply tapping that like button, simply clicking subscribe, and please enable notifications so you get instant updates from us going forward. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks. Bye.